When you come across a human being who's a little bit different and who might be singing at the top of their voices on the train, or might be trying to involve you in conversation that seems socially inappropriate, don't pretend to read your book or answer your phone or look out of the window. Just look them in the eye, engage them with a smile, and have a conversation. And don't be afraid, because I think we're all way too afraid of people who are apparently outside the norm.
Autism is such a big thing. I think if you just focus on doing positive things, then that can be difficult because people aren't aware of the challenges. But if you just focus on the challenges, they're not aware of the positive things. So it's striking a balance of what you need people to know and what you want them to know to help improve the lives of those who have autism.
Hi, my name's Anna Kennedy and I'm the founder of Autism's Got Talent and the chairperson and founder of Anna Kennedy Online, which is a charity that supports families who have autistic children and adults. Autism's Got Talent is celebrating and showcasing talented young people and adults across the United Kingdom and now overseas. It's not a competition, it's a showcase to show exactly what these children and adults can achieve. So they could be singers, dancers, musicians, comedians, magicians, you name it, whatever talent they have, and it doesn't matter how old they are. They send in their entries to us and then we choose 18 to 20 performers, which is really difficult. They just want the same as everybody else. They want a good education. You know, when they grow older, they obviously want a job, they want to get married, they want to have a partner. And it's just, they just want to be given the opportunity and the platform. So sometimes by just making small, reasonable adjustments and just to give them that little bit of extra time sometimes to process information, that's all that they ask.
What I really like about this particular charity is this idea that you are creating opportunity at grassroots level and you're creating awareness as well. What's amazing about the Anna Kennedy approach is that every single penny gets used sensibly and it's run on a shoestring by absolutely brilliant human beings.
I've got lots of things to say, lots of information. It's good. It's made a big difference to our lives. He does know some of it, but he would find it difficult to string it together. Anna's charity is very broad in what she does because it's, on one point, it's a source of help. It's also a source of connection because parents can connect and young people can connect. Everybody here has their own journey. They've all got their own story, and most of us it's pretty difficult. But I think things like this charity show you that actually there are some really wonderful things about the way the autism mind works. I saw this leaflet, Autism Got Talent. I thought, yeah, Tom can go on that one day. But there was no way he was in any way positioned ready to do it. But it stayed in my mind. I knew he had skills and was enormously entertaining, but he'd never performed in front of 650 people. When he performed in 2015, it was a real wow moment. I mean, it was extremely emotional because I never could have believed that he would do something like that. And everybody stood up at the end and it was like quantum leap. How did I get here? How did I get from the little boy who was banging his head on the ground and screaming and crying, and I was crying because I couldn't understand him and he couldn't understand me? How did we get to this fine young man who was entertaining people and people were quite frankly adoring what he was doing? I didn't quite know how we got there.
See, I have a fascination with Disney villain songs, including songs that show a bit of a charismatic personality. Even though that being typecast as a villain is sometimes a bad thing, but I always go for Disney villain songs for seeing how very charismatic and showing their views of their personality. Being with autism, I have speaking problems and able to say complete sentences out loud. But I sometimes speak clearly when it comes to drama and singing as well. I feel that singing is the best way to communicate with people on stage than it is on the outside. When I feel like I'm on the stage, It feels like I'm in a different world and finally connecting with everyone else.
My name's Theodore, but I'm usually called Theo, and I write and perform my own poetry. Writing your own stuff, definitely. It feels as though you're sort of putting words out there that might never have been used in that way before, or like you're saying something that even if you don't know if it makes sense, it might make sense to somebody else. Somebody might be feeling the same thing as you. If I didn't say what was on my mind, then nobody would understand. You get to see everyone in dress rehearsal and just go, oh my gosh, like I was considered on their level, like wow. Being scared and being excited about something, they're such closely linked emotions that you just sort of have to trick yourself into positive thinking rather than going, oh gosh, I'm really scared. You go, oh, I'm really excited. My favourite poet is Neil Hilborn. He's an American poet. He's absolutely astounding, and he talks about so many things that are actually like really relevant to me. He talks a lot about mental health and a lot about sort of how he makes things through and how other people in his lives have done that, and it's great. Seeing how he had sort of made his entire career out of being sort of completely honest and doing this, and I sort of went to this coffee morning and they happened to be having like a talent show thing. And so I printed off one of Neil Hilborn's poems called OCD, which I know very well. And I did that, and it was sort of completely amazing, the response that I got from it. Just people that I knew going, wow, that was great. And random strangers that I knew going, wow, that was great, which was insane. I'm usually quite sort of introverted and isolationist, and often I sort of don't put myself out there and go, hey, this is a thing that matters to me. And so I don't get that sort of feedback. Regardless of whether it's positive or negative, I just don't get any because I don't put anything out there. And so actually going, yes, this is something I want to do, people actually like tell me things.
Rachel is a member of the Thespian Honour Society, an honour student, vocalist, and she loves to sing opera. She's even sung twice at Madison Square Garden. Rachel's plan for the future is to graduate from the University of South Florida, and one day she wants to open her own school for children with disabilities.
I'm here for the first time at Autism's Got Talent, and I'll be singing Parla Più Piano from The Godfather because I'm an opera singer. I love doing what I do. I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, and I would spend hours upon hours listening to CDs of symphonies, and I just couldn't stop. I fell in love with the symphonies, opera, and that's when I knew I wanted to sing. Back in America, I have my own platform called The Ability Beyond Disability, and I've been running it for a decade now. And I just love to support those who can't speak for themselves, for those who might be different, and I want to give them a voice.
Living with autism is not something to be scared of. It's people all around the world have autism, and I'm just trying to educate them. And I think it's important for people, even if they haven't got family members, to get involved. It's an amazing show. It's really hard to sum up, to be quite truthful, because you have to actually see it to understand how moving the day is. You talk about sometimes kids living with autism not fitting in on school, but when they come together here, everyone fits in, everyone has a great day, no one's bullied, and it's so full of love. And if you could feel the love in the room, you would understand how special this show is, but you have to actually physically be here. I would encourage anyone to come and see it.
I'm Calvin Glenn, I'm 17 years old, and I've come up from Poole, and I'm going to be singing a duet with a girl called Charlotte, singing something from Phantom of the Opera. I think it's just such a powerful event which gets such a great message across. The day itself is just so brilliant, the fact that I get to meet these people and we get on so well. I mean, it's weird because a lot of us have all had issues at different schools or issues socialising with different people, but all together we get on absolutely fine. You know, there's no issues whatsoever. We just hang out and have fun, and it just shows, you know, that we're absolutely fine working with each other, and it's the other people that's the issue, isn't it? I've faced challenges most autistic people have faced, so severe mental health issues. I've been in and out of different schools, have massive social interaction difficulties and all that kind of thing. But I remember the first time I did a show, I was a different person. I was still quite shy, timid and nervy, and you know, I was less confident back then. But through experiences like this, I feel it's really helped me to overcome some of my issues and become a more confident and normal person. I think being able to show people I can do something. You know, I've been bullied a lot over my entire life and had a lot of people tell me I can't do this, I can't do that, you're never going to do this, and I just want to show people there is something I can do, there is something I'm willing to focus and dedicate myself towards, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to become successful in it.
I struggled a lot with sort of being myself, so the drama and music were just, I could really fit in and find a place. So I did that, went on to do it at uni and made a lot of friends there, but not any that have autism. And at the time I didn't know. I was only recently diagnosed as of October 2016. I went and got diagnosed and they said it was ASD, and I was so like relieved, because I was like, there's finally something for it. But my mum didn't really. She sort of felt awful because it was such a late diagnosis, and if I had it earlier there'd been so much more help and support for people, which is like the one thing that I'm trying to stress, is to get it done as early as you can. The thing with being autistic is I did believe that everyone saw the world the same way as me, and in that case, when I was often proved wrong, then I felt the odd one out, and I was so angry at why people aren't seeing what I'm seeing and seeing that things are wrong. And I struggled to make friends, and I got bullied a lot, like a hell of a lot. And that's the best thing about school, is they have you know, sort of schedules in the day and subjects and lunch, and then you go home. And so I went and I did the subjects. I'd get bullied almost around like break and lunchtime, so that's part of the routine, and then I'd come home again. And my parents I didn't tell them, because I just didn't think to tell them. It didn't bother me. It was just like it was to be expected. I look back now on when I was younger and things like that, and sort of sensory overload is a big thing. So it's like things that were too loud. I hated crowds. I always felt, I probably hear this a lot, but I felt like an alien compared to other people. And even though I was the same age as other children around me, I'd look at them and just be like, I'm so different to you.
It's really important to promote talent that comes from people who may be seen as different, and I think there's still attitudes, you know, towards people with certain difficulties. Just think, you know, I think people just think, oh, it's just going to be a bit of rubbish. But everyone is so talented. It's really, really important just to make people feel special as well. I wouldn't have done this a couple of years ago, no way. Even talking to you now, wouldn't have done it, couldn't have done it. And I think definitely last year's show, I came here on my own. I was like, no, don't want parents, I was like, I'm gonna do this on my own. I went and did the whole day on my own. And it just made me think, I can do this.
I started kickboxing when I was 13 years old. It's been a really useful and helpful thing for me, because it gave me something to kind of focus on, and it gave me an outlet for frustrations. It taught me that you have to work hard to get what you want in life and not to give up. Kickboxing is really helpful for me because of the sensory impact of it. It helps me feel calmer when I'm getting stressed. I think people get a bit scared and think I'm a bit weird, because it's not the hitting people that helps me, it's when they hit me, it makes me feel calm. So I can go into kickboxing and really be struggling to speak, because I'll be stressed, and after someone's been hitting me for about a minute, I'll be calm again. It's quite strange to say and see, but it's the pressure of the punch is calming. So it's like for a deep weight kind of therapy. One of the biggest problems also I have in day-to-day life is time and how long everything takes and organising it, because I also have ADHD, so I'm kind of always fighting a bit of a battle between the two, of wanting to have structure, then wanting to go on a different path from my structure, and then being stressed because I did go on a different path from my structure. So every day is probably, it takes a lot of work, because for me to get something done, I have to break it down into steps. And to manage and keep on top of that, every time you get something new to do, takes a lot more time out of your day. I've found that visual supports have been really useful for me, to be able to break things down and to see what I should be doing.
My name is Lakile, and this is my mom Bonnie, and I'm 10 years old. She's 41, and I play the piano, and I first did that 2 years ago.
Music is what Lakile does, and it comes sort of like effortless for him. He doesn't do any theory, he just listens and will just play it on the piano. So he listens to the music. Even me, I can hear some music at the background when he's playing his video games, and the next thing I'll hear him playing that music on the piano exactly as it is.
Mom always tells me that I should not be nervous, do you?
I do. When he's on the piano, I think the nerves just goes. He's only 10 years old. I'm waiting to see how he's gonna be like after 5 years in time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know it will be all about how much we guide him and nurture him, you know, to do better in music. If you work hard, you know, opportunities will always come if you focus. You know, you meet so many people and who can share the same experience as you. You know, you talk about the same thing. So it does make a difference, you know, and then you know that you are not alone out there in the community. There are some people that you can share the same experience with. I think that's what Autism's Got Talent is all about. Future is bright. Yeah, definitely.
I am dyslexic, dyspraxic, and I've got autism as well, which sort of makes things a little bit complicated when you're going through school life. I was an absolute nightmare in school. It was impossible to get me to do anything I didn't want to do. If a structure changed, if there was a supply teacher, a room change, that was it, done for the day. But then I started getting into motorsport. So 12 years old, I won a scholarship to go racing for a year, it gave me a passion, a drive, and something to focus on. So when I was in school, started to do that. Newfound focus, I managed to turn all my grades around as well. So I went from a dropout student to a degree student in the space of 4 years. If you rewind 5 years to look at how I was then to how I was now, totally different person. If you ask me when I was in school, did I plan to go to university and get a degree? No, definitely not. Did I plan to be a business owner? No, definitely not. Did I plan to become an ambassador for a charity? No, definitely not. If you're in mainstream school, there's support networks that sort of take you to one side, but you're not necessarily included or you're given anything special. But coming out to events like this where you're made centre stage and made to feel great is, you know, the best thing that anyone could possibly do, not just for recognition for the people and everyone around, but individual self-confidence and just the ability to be able to get out and showcase what you can do on your own, I guess. So Team Karting, we're based in Rochdale. We're open to anyone pretty much within the Northwest who wants to come down. We offer one-on-one karting sessions. We can literally close the place down, turn off the music, turn off the lights, you know, make it as autism friendly as possible to get people initially through the door. We can stick to strict regimes so everyone knows what's going to go on in advance. We have hand controls as well, so you can drive around using your hands rather than necessarily have to use your feet. So come check us out.
It's sort of having to follow the social norms of, you know, how you can be and how you can't behave, and you're still you, but it's you, and you have this diagnosis, but I've always been the same. The autism hasn't changed me. I've just been a lot more free with it. It's the want to be normal being pushed on society and in the media and everything. And when someone has autism, it's a big shock, or you find out that a celebrity does. Like a celebrity, that an ideal that's meant to be perfect suddenly isn't anymore.
We are here because I'm autistic, but I only found out, I was only diagnosed a couple of years ago, so it's still all quite new. So we met before I knew I was autistic. So I don't know if that's like changed the friendship. I don't think it's changed. I don't think it's changed the friendship, but like you've seen that journey. It makes it easier for both me and everyone else, because if I'm really anxious or if I can't deal with food or whatever, everyone's like, okay, that's because she's autistic. Like, it's not to be difficult.
Not just being fussy.
Yeah, I'm not just being fussy, it's actual like wiring of my brain or whatever. There's something really special about performing to and with a group of people who you all have something in common with before you start. And I think there's a nice kind of level of acceptance, I guess, where everyone's kind of like, yeah, we're all here, we all get it, so we're just going to obviously try and put on good performances, but it's more about like sharing the experience and having fun. The autism is built into it, so usually at other performing events you have to be like, oh, by the way, I'm autistic, so I need this, or I need to bring someone with me, or I need a space to go and kind of decompress before I go on or after I get off. And so I think it's really cool to have an event where it's like that's built in, and you just don't get that anywhere. So I think that's so exciting to be a part of. For me, because I was diagnosed so late, as I was almost 21, and so I'd never thought of myself as autistic, and I'd never kind of been part of that community. So with the diagnosis, it was very like, okay, I'm not neurotypical, but I don't feel autistic either. So it's been I felt a lot like I'm in limbo between the two kind of communities. I was really struggling with my mental health from when I was about 17, and because I was so high functioning, everyone was like, oh, you've done GCSEs, you've done A-levels, like you're fine. Like everyone has anxiety, which is my least favourite sentence ever. And like everyone gets sad sometimes, but then, I was going to my GP and I was going to counselling, and they were all kind of like, well, if you're not going to talk, which I wasn't doing because I was so anxious, they were like, well, then we can't help you. We're not going to help you if you're not going to cooperate. And so we went on and on and on, and eventually someone suggested, just like, because we talked to everyone we knew about anyone that they knew that would be helpful, and someone said autism, and it got brushed off because I didn't fit the stereotype or what everyone knew about autism. And my doctor was like, no, you're not autistic. My psychiatrist was like, no, you're not autistic. I went and I did the diagnostic session, and they were like, you are the typical presentation of autism in women. And the fact that nobody knows that, like everyone kind of associates their really typical behaviours, and there's so little knowledge and awareness about it in women and how it presents. So we got there eventually.
There's lots of paths to get to where you want to be. It's just that not everybody goes on them. You have to kind of look into what you're trying to achieve. What do you have now that will help you achieve it? What do you need to help you achieve it? And how can you get that? Like, you look at my medals and you think that that's my biggest achievement, but it isn't. Like, for me, if I made a phone call, that's a massive achievement. So you have to also kind of reclassify and redefine achievement, because it's not just what everybody else thinks it is, it's what's hard for you. Instead of thinking how hard it was and how horrible it felt doing it, you did it, and that's an achievement. Even if for everybody else it's easy, because if it's not for you, it's not. But you can do loads of things they can't, so it's all relative, really.
Now that I'm here, I can actually, what I said about picking up vibes and energy, you know full well everyone's on the spectrum, and you just bounce off that energy. There's such a good mix, and people have been brought to me and introduced to me, and and they're coming and sitting next to me, and even though at first I'm a bit like, oh, like what, why why are you sitting next to me, but you get to know them, and it's great to hear their experiences of autism and know that you're not on your own. But now it's like, okay, you're going through the same thing, and they've been in the shows before, this is my first time, and so they're able to pass it on to me of what exactly will happen, you know, how you will be feeling, this is fine. And how how exciting it is to be a part of this, and this is sort of like the start of something, you know, that's much bigger.
So being autistic, you're not supposed to be very good at eye contact, you're not supposed to be good at public speaking, you know, there's quite a few things that you're not supposed to do. But who cares? Do what you want to do. Don't look at the problem, don't even look at the solution, just look at the one reason why you should do something and do that.
For those who are watching this interview, and for those who wish to enter in future events of Autism's Got Talent, be strong, be brave, and be willing to do so with your heart. Thank you.